Hey everybody, this is Dark Side Elite here, and I want to do a pretty quick video. Gonna give you guys an update what's gonna be happening today. I'm gonna be at my work. I got to this pretty late. I actually wanted to do a pretty long video. I might actually do it in this one. So this is gonna be part one of a few videos I'm gonna make about this last Star Wars movie, and I will go into depth about episode one, episode two, three, four, five, and six, and then seven, eight, and nine. And I'm doing this only because I feel like that this is something that really needs to be talked about, and also it needs to be ensured out to the audience so you guys understand, and a lot of you understand why there's such a backlash to this prequel to this sequel trilogy. And none of us have a problem with Daisy Ridley. None of us have a problem with John Boyega or Oscar Isaac or any of the cast members. We have a problem with the direction and the storylines and character arcs that they put in there, and put in certain ideologies that makes absolutely no sense to what George Lucas even put in the original trilogies and even in the prequel trilogies. Um, he never created a Mary Sue out of Anakin Skywalker. He never created a Gary Stu out of Anakin Skywalker or Luke Skywalker. He made J.J. Abrams put a Mary Sue as the main protagonist of the whole trilogy, and there was no way for any of us to relate to her because we only can relate to the fact that this character comes from a very broken background. That's the only thing we can get from her. But for anybody, even from Luke came had a family, and his family was wiped out, and even he didn't lash out in absolute anger and use the Force in very precarious ways. Ray did it multiple of times, and those are things that makes us go, what the heck? Some things we can be apologetic for, like how she was able to beat Kylo Ren. There's You could add in a lot of stipulations about how she was able to defeat this powerful Force user, um, and also with very very little training. And even Luke barely trained her. I mean, he barely trained her in The Last Jedi, and she's capable of doing things that he could not do, even in even in Empire Strikes Back, and he was getting trained by Yoda. So to me, it doesn't understand. It takes a lot of leaping tall buildings in a single bound, doing Superman things. That's gonna help me understand why everyone likes this character called Rey. It has nothing to do with she's a female. Padme was a woman. Leia is a legendary woman that we all know and love in Carrie Fisher. But Carrie Fisher's character was never portrayed as a freaking Mary Sue. Padme was never portrayed as a Mary Sue. We had nothing wrong with those female characters. There's nothing wrong with them. It, it would be completely out of the normal that if Leia came out of nowhere and started using the Force and she didn't know nothing about it. That would make all of us go, what the heck is going on here? And that would completely destroy everything that Lucas was trying to build. Lucas would never ever ever build Rey to be like this. He would never do it. He would keep the powers extremely simple. The powers are extremely simple from my point of view, from what I see about how he's built Star Wars. The the powers, the wonder, the intrigue, everything about the Force and what Jedi's and Sith can do, those are appealing to everybody, but mainly to kids. Kids want to have the glowing nightsticks. Kids want to basically have the cool suits and the great masks and stuff. They want to dress up. That's kids. The adult section of us, the adults in all of us, we're enamored by how the story is interlinked. The connections, not just for the Force, but the connections of the characters, the relations that are built between all of them. There's a reasoning why Han Solo, Princess Leia Organa, and Luke Skywalker are memorialized. I'm sorry, they are. they are carved into our psyche. We see those characters and we see their struggles and we see the growth of each and every one of them. We see that both Luke and Han were fighting over Leia. We know that Leia actually loves Han, but she does love Luke. It's all been told. She said that she loves Luke, but it's not the way. It's not the same way she loves Han. And Han didn't understand that, and she didn't understand that because she was always wondering why is there such a strong connection between her and Luke, and she could never understand it until Luke told her that we're siblings, we're brother and sister. Because he liked her. He was like, wow, she's very beautiful and everything else. Carrie Fisher was very beautiful. She's very beautiful even at her age. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that there's a reasoning why they built certain things the way they did. Now, the way they built the Force Awakens and the relationship between Finn and Rey, it seemed that actually Finn was attracted to her. But that never came to fruition in any course. You threw Rose into the mix, and it made absolutely no sense. If you were gonna push this whole Finn and Rey relationship, you should have actually finished it in The Last Jedi. You should have made it where she doesn't feel the same way he does, but they could still be good friends. Every person has dealt with that. A teenage boy has dealt with having the hottest girl in school. He builds up the confidence and want to talk to this girl. She turns him down. She either turns him down nicely and says, hey, I'm just good being friends, or she turns him down and basically laughs in his face. But Rey's not like that. And that's where a lot of us can relate with that relationship with Rey and Finn. Poe has numerous level of relationships with Finn and the Resistance, and we never saw that budding relationship between Finn and Poe, very much. And we didn't see how the relation between these two guys, this bromance, was actually pretty interesting to see. I liked their banter in Force Awakens. It really fit. It really was cool. But Last Jedi, there was no relation between the two of them. They basically talked for like a few minutes. He mentioned about Rey and said, I got to go find Rey. Poe's in there wondering, okay, well, we got to take care of this situation first. Finn said, okay, well, let's take care of the situation. I'll help you take care of this. And they move forward. They barely talk to each other after all that. And now in this one, they're so chummy together. It just felt weird. It felt weird. And there was no time lapse. They never said, hey, 2 years later or 4 years later. They never said anything like that. We know that The Last Jedi is supposed to be a few months after the destruction of Starkiller Base. We don't know how long the difference is between The Rise of Skywalker from Last Jedi. They almost completely erased Last Jedi from existence because a lot of retconning in this movie. So in my perspective and in my understanding of Star Wars, and I've been watching Star Wars since 1984, 1986. I remember it was on TV, and I watched Return of the Jedi, like I said in my review of this, that the connections make no sense. To me, it makes no sense. If it does to you, that's great. I'm very happy for you. I'm very happy for you. But for me, the relationships and the connections between these characters makes absolutely no sense. Okay. The whole thing what happened between Rey and Kylo makes no sense. You never built up the tension between the two of them. You never built up the true understanding of what's going on in Rey's head. We don't know what's going on in Rey's head. You put so much confusion and acting into her character and his character, we can only cannibalize what we see and piece it together ourselves, or have it in a book or a comic, or a book or a novel or a comic book. We don't need that. We don't need that. Your movie should at least give us a good understanding of what's going on and expand it even further in the books. Now, what I mean is, in Last Jedi, if there was supposed to be a romantic attraction between Kylo or slash Ben and Rey, you should have at least had her say something about it, or him say something about it. The only thing we were getting from him was he felt there was a connection and he wanted to have her come to him. That's it. That doesn't mean anything about attraction or romance. If that was the case, you're telling me that Darth Vader wants a romance with his son Luke Skywalker? No. What I mean is, you should, if it's gonna be something like this between a man and a woman, then give us at least some level of comment that literally She feels an attraction for him. She doesn't know why. We're getting that from just us understanding her emotional state. And that and it doesn't and to me it doesn't make any sense because that's not the basis of how they built in Star Wars. If there is a romance or a budding romance and that's what's giving them the connection in the Force, then come out and say it. Luke should have said something like that. Say, "Hey, no, don't do that. There's a strong connection to the two of you. I don't know what it is. It could be, do you care about my nephew? Do you care for something about him?" That should have been a question Luke should have given her, and that would have been us going, "Oh." But all you had was you had Tumblr coming out of the woodwork screaming out that, "Oh, those two should be together," and we all just went, "Okay, that makes absolute sense," or we attributed to it. But the movie should have given us that, not just some confusion states and the tension and this and that. No, I shouldn't have to have that. There should have been a comment so basic fans will go, "Oh, okay," and then I understand what's going on here. Then you can understand why the tension is there. In some occasions, an explanation will mean a lot more than anything else. Now, let's go back to Luke and Vader. Luke, when Luke first meets Vader, he just sees an enemy. He sees an enemy, and he wants to defeat this enemy. But at the end of Empire Strikes Back, his whole demeanor completely changes when he realizes that this is his father. In the Force, he feels there is a connection between the two of them. And he does search that, hey, you just forgot who you were. It's still in you. There's still goodness in you. But here's the caveat with Vader. He never denied it. He said, "It's too late for me." That means that he just gave up. He doesn't care. He never denied that, "Nope, there is no goodness in me. I am all Sith." Even Palpatine denied it. Palpatine denied it. He says, "Oh, you're here to try to save your father? Nope, that's not going to happen. Your father will always serve me. It is his destiny." He denied it. There's no goodness in him. I shriveled that out of him all those years ago. There is no goodness in him. So Luke sensed that there was something inside of him. What Ray said makes the same sense as Luke said. There is goodness in Ben, but in Rise of Skywalker, that completely went out the window. She wasn't trying to save him. She was trying to defeat him. She didn't have to fight him. She could have just basically just tried to fight him, but in a more of a defensive posture. So that's what I was getting throughout this whole movie. It made absolutely no sense that you're going to build up this whole budding romance between the two characters when you never explained it, and you also left it on the doorstep and let us all just basically fall into the trap. So to me, it makes absolutely no sense why she would have this romance towards him, and he would, and it felt like it was a one-sidedness. You were feeling and because of Adam Driver, and I have nothing against Daisy Ridley. This is her first franchise. This is her first franchise. She's gonna have plenty more movies. This girl can grow and become a great actress. I see her in the same vein as a lot of English actresses. She will grow very well here in America, but she will explode over in Europe. She will explode in Great Britain. She needs to go and do thespian plays and thespian movies and do a lot of movies over there and grow her craft to the point where when she comes here in America, it's like she's a completely different actress. That's to me, that's my understanding. But her being here in America, it will, in a way, she'll get interlinked into an acting prowess that's gonna really kind of slow her acting chops down. This actress can grow into a phenomenal, I would say, a great character actress. She'll be a great character actress, but Adam Driver has been acting for a very long time, and he outacted everybody in this trilogy. Everybody. Harrison Ford was just basically almost halfway phoning it in. He was halfway phoning in. He was having fun because he knew he was going to die. And it shocked me that they brought him back for this final one. But I have a feeling they basically said, nope, we're not calling you ever again. We're ending it. He went, okay. And it was a 2-bit role. So he wasn't in there for very long. But still, Adam Driver outacted everybody. I felt for his character. And I felt that they ruined his true redemption arc by never allowing him not to meet his father. He should have met his grandfather. He should have met Anakin. He should have met Anakin, and Anakin gave him the greatest lesson of all and told him, this is the reason why I fell to the dark side. And like I explained in my last review. But having his father show up, everyone's going to feel that connection like, oh, okay, it makes sense as it's his dad. No, it should never have been his dad. He truly felt nothing for his father. That's the thing. But here's the thing. You could easily say, anybody could easily say that, oh, he must have some feelings for his father. It's like, well, you could say that he was hesitant about killing him. Because if he gave nothing about his dad, he would have just put the lightsaber through his throat and walked away. But he was kind of hesitant. But the thing is that you can also stipulate that it was just basically his connection to his mother. His mother was his last connection to the Force, his goodness. And also it could have been Anakin. Anakin using the last portions of his power, his last connections to this mortal plane to prevent his grandson from falling into the same eternal damnation that that he fell into. That he was going to cast a dark shadow all over this galaxy again because he fell for a trick. He fell for lies. And that was the point of Anakin's fall to the dark side and how JJ was building Kylo Ren. Let's be honest, he was building Kylo Ren to be a discount version of Vader. And Rian Johnson made fun of it. He made fun of it in The Last Jedi. He says, you are no Vader. You are a pale comparison to Darth Vader. He was making fun of what JJ was trying to build Kylo Ren to be. Very subtly. That's what I was getting from this. When in all retrospect, I think that Kylo Ren could have been just as good he could have been as good or just a little bit below Vader. And that's mainly because he's able to do things in the Force that we've never seen to do. He had powers and strengths in the Force that was insane. But that got overshadowed because of Rey. And now you took away the tension because of that. The greatest thing about Vader and Luke's battle was it was a Padawan versus a complete true master of the Force. And he was doing things in the Force we never thought we were ever going to see. He was tossing things at Luke, beating him halfway to death. That would have been interesting to see Kylo just using the Force and weakening Rey down because she cannot fight him that way. And you have Kylo using the Force in ways that just is baffling. Him able to pause her in mid motion, stopping the blaster bolt and reflecting right back at her. Doing the Force leaps, the Force movements. Those are things that we easily would go, wow, holy crap, how is Rey able to defeat him? But you took that away by having Rey so powerful in the Force. It's like, okay, all she has to do is blow in his face and he dies. You MacGuffined you nerfed his character. You nerfed Kylo Ren. You nerfed Ben Solo. The progeny of the Skywalkers. So it's like, what the heck are you? What are you trying to tell me here? She's more powerful than a Skywalker? That's why it makes no sense. what JJ was trying to do in this is show to you that good can defeat evil. Okay, that's fine. That's perfectly okay. I have no problem with that. No problem. If you were building Snoke to be this ultimate badass, and then Rian Johnson came along and basically pissed all over your foundation and built a mud house when it should have been a modern house, and this dude built a tiki hut with a flag on it that had "fool you" on it, then honestly, J.J. Abrams should have never ever defended his movie. Never. He should have said, "No, that's not what I wanted to do." He should have owned up on it. Now it's slowly coming out that no, and now he lied to the fans. He lied to media by saying that Palpatine was always the end game. Bull. That craps all over George Lucas. That craps all over Hayden Christensen's hard work. That craps all over Ian McDiarmid's hard work. That craps all over everybody's hard work from 1 to 6. This story was supposed to be Anakin's rise to becoming a Jedi, his fall to the dark side, and his redemption for the massacring and the destruction he caused for close to 30 years, for over 30 years, and defeating the man that lied to him this whole time. Ian McDiarmid did a phenomenal job with Palpatine, with Emperor Palpatine. He did a phenomenal job with this character. He is going to be etched as one of the greatest movie villains of all time, one of. And they ruined his character in this by bringing him back. He should have never brought him back. His story was told. His story was done in Return of the Jedi. You should have made it Snoke. Everything they did in this whole movie could have been summed up by it was all Snoke. It was all Snoke. Snoke was the puppeteer. You could have made it where Sidious was the Machiavellian. He was the one that believed that he was the god of all the Sith. He was the most powerful Sith alive, and he didn't even know there was a Snoke out there. Or he thought he did, and he didn't give two craps. While you have Snoke as the master puppeteer. He manipulated so many things that basically no one looked at him. The Jedis never knew he was around. Luke sure as hell didn't know he was around. And then on top of that, he manipulated Ben to make him fall to the dark side and had one of the most powerful Jedi, one of the most powerful Force users ever seen since Anakin Skywalker walked the planet. He had him under his thrall. And the one that he basically had him did all this was a clone. You could have had it was all Snoke. All of it was Snoke. That this whole what the hell is it? This whole fleet of Star Destroyers? No. You should never have had that. You should have had him just use the Force like Palpatine. He was able to, the planet that he's on is a focusing lens. And he could use the dark side of the Force and cascade a darkness all over the galaxy. And there'd be no way to stop him. You could have used something from Legends. Brought that back. An artifact. It was a ritual. You could have done whatever the heck you wanted with that. You didn't have to bring back the Empire. You didn't have to. You could have it was all Snoke. Snoke manipulated so many freaking events. He was the master puppeteer. And he is insanely powerful with the dark side because he's been succumbed. He is in a temple that's dedicated to Sith. It's dedicated to the Sith. So he's listening to all the dead Sith throughout all of history. And he's gathering all this information and knowledge, and it made him so powerful in the dark side, he doesn't care. He doesn't need an army. He can infuse people with the Force if he wants to. You can do it. Again, it's one of those things you can do whatever the heck you want with this character. You could have made him a secret apprentice. You could have made him an apprentice of Plagueis. He was Plagueis' first apprentice. It kind of undoes the Darth Plagueis book. Because I think they said that Palpatine was his only apprentice, but not in a way. You can say that he had an apprentice before freaking Palpatine, and his other apprentice just he didn't want to deal with he didn't want to deal with this Jedi because he even admitted I'm not going to go after Yoda. Yoda will kill me. But like you can have a lot of things. That's just one idea you could have did. You could have had it that it was all Ben. Ben fell so far into the dark side, he found a temple, and he got succumbed so far in the dark side, it looked like he can't redeem himself. You could bring back an ancient Sith, a Sith freaking poltergeist or whatever, you know. All of Ben's emotions, his memories, everything he hates or loves, it forms itself into a Sith, and they have to confront that, and that's Ben. It's Ben and freaking Rey. However you want to do it, you can make it feel like Star Wars. But this movie, the way they did it, without understanding what the heck they were doing as a build up, you should have just left Palpatine alone. Again, I just threw these ideas out. I'm not saying that this is what they should have done. I'm just saying is that if they introduced Snoke, this is how they should have done with Snoke. This could have been all Snoke, but they wasted his character and said no, he was a puppet for Sidious. What? Why the heck would he need Snoke? The moment Palpatine felt there was a vergence in the Force, something extremely powerful was awakened, he should have sent Snoke looking for it, and Ren. Found out what it was. There was a girl on Jakku. Wait a minute. Snoke, go to Jakku and get that girl now. Kill whoever the hell has him. That would have been Palpatine. Bring that girl to me. It undoes what happened in Force Awakens. It makes no sense. Why the heck would Palpatine leave her the heck alone? The moment he felt that vergence in the Force, a powerful Force user, he should have been like, wait a minute, is that Ren? No, Ren got they said that they found a girl on a desert planet. Go to that desert planet now. Bring that girl to me now. Find her. He goes, what? Whoa. Boom. That can be your story. By this shows to people that understand Star Wars, a lot of people that really does care about Star Wars, that they had no plan. They had no plan. They had no blueprint of what to do with this universe. J.J. Abrams just built them a foundation, and they didn't know what to do with it. They just wanted to slap a Star Wars label on it and basically say, hey, here you go. When they told us that this is what they told us. This is all going to be a Skywalker saga. Every director is going to read the previous director's notes, and each director is an executive or is a true producer on the set. So they have say about what's going on and keep it flowing the way the storyline needs to flow. That's what they told us. We heard that even on Collider. Collider even said that. Right when they were building Force Awakens. When Force Awakens was being filmed, they were talking about this. Go back. I remember it. They were happy. They heard that J.J. Abrams is doing it. Rian Johnson is doing the sequel, and Colin Trevorrow is doing the third. And Colin Trevorrow already proved himself because he did freaking Jurassic World. And did a pretty damn good job with it. So again, it's one of those don't look at this movie and then if you tell me that this was the end goal of their plan, laugh in people's faces. Laugh. Don't piss in my face and tell me it's raining, because that's not what it is. They had no plans. They just told everyone this, and when Rian Johnson came along and completely did what he wanted to do, because they saw that this movie made almost $2 billion. They said, what the F? Okay, we can do what the heck we want. People are going to watch this. They did not listen to the vocal minority. The ones that are like, hey, I've watched Star Wars for some odd amount of years. What the heck is going on with this? This doesn't feel like new. It feels rehashed. They should have took those criticisms and said, okay, and it came out at the last, and the Disney before they were going to do Last Jedi said, we listen to your concerns. We understand what your concerns are, but you also got to realize that one, after the prequels, we had people that didn't like that was the last version of Star Wars. We needed to bring that the familiarity of Star Wars, so everybody feels that there's a connection. There's that this is Star Wars. But we understand your concerns. We do. That's why we already talked to Rian Johnson, and this is how we need to go forward with this. So we hope that you can judge that we're trying to get it to bring something newer to the table. But no, they kind of did the and they just basically just they did the Maz Eisley Cantina. That's what they did. They did that on Last Jedi, and it completely ruined whatever the heck Rise of Skywalker could have been. They had to course correct because they didn't listen, and they saw them with the dollar signs and said, okay, well, we can do what the heck we want. And Rian Johnson said, okay. And he did his little art project that was not Star Wars. That was a fanfic movie. And I even say it's a poorly made fanfic movie because I know fanfic movies that are way better done with a way better storyline. And it's shameful. Very shameful. These are in-house Disney people, and they don't even understand Star Wars. You have a director that's saying, oh, I don't know why you guys are all mad. You guys are just mad because it's different. No! It doesn't feel like Star Wars. When you even look at the prequels versus the originals, you can still say, yeah, no, that still feels like Star Wars. You still have that, you feel that magic of Star Wars. The story is a little jumbled, but it still feels like Star Wars. Last Jedi does not feel like Star Wars. It feels like it's an absence of Star Wars. And then you have JJ, poor JJ, I mean, and I'm going to call him Jar Jar now. Jar Jar Abrams came in and did the, he just did the whole Maz Eisley Katina all over this whole, this trilogy. He didn't even look at his original storyline. And said, no, okay, well, we got to put in the nostalgia. We got to put this in. And then he listened to Kathleen Kennedy. He listened to Bob Iger and got his movie and got this last movie and this whole saga completely pissed on. It's a whole lot better than The Last Jedi, I can tell you that. But it's a terrible ender. It's a terrible ender to this saga. It's a laughable movie. You can't take this seriously. You cannot look at Empire Strikes Back and say, nope, that's a comedy. No, it's a serious movie. A New Hope is pretty serious too. Return of the Jedi is actually, in a way, it's a little bit more lighthearted. It's lighthearted, but it's still pretty serious. The prequels were pretty serious. This is a comedy. And I don't blame Adam. I don't blame Daisy. I don't blame any of these cast members. They say, no, we're good. They want to walk away. They don't want to be a part of this. And that's terrible. I could see Daisy hold another trilogy. I can, but not with this character. And what a lot of fans are asking for is this. They're not asking for you to go exactly for the books. You didn't have to do Mara Jade. You didn't have to do that. You don't have to do Mara Jade. It'd have been great fan service, but you didn't have to. But what you could have done is very, very simple. There's multiple ways they could have fixed this whole trilogy. One, Snoke should have been the main badass. Snoke should have been the main antagonist of this whole trilogy. You should have had more confusion with Kylo/Ben. He doesn't understand the full truth. He senses deep down he hates Snoke, but he doesn't understand why. Anybody can say, well, it's a Sith thing. No. The thing with Snoke is he never taught him the dark side of the Force. He said a good artist sculpts with what's already there. He is a son of the light, and he's a progeny of the dark. And a great artist takes what's already there and sculpts it into absolute beauty. That means that he didn't teach him a damn thing. He just let Kylo do what the heck he learned. He let Ben do whatever the heck he wanted. as long as he followed his orders. You should have had more confusion with him. Like, why the heck is he even listening to Snoke? Snoke is he hasn't taught me a damn thing. And he didn't teach him a damn thing. And he knows he's more powerful. That's the arrogance in him. I know I'm more powerful. You should have nipped all of Daisy's force powers. Just nipped it in the bud. Just show that she does the basic stuff like force thrust, force pull, force push and pull, of course, the force leaping and the speed, and she's able to use the lightsaber in a very proficient manner. But anything more than that takes training. I'm sorry, it takes a lot more training. No, not even mind tricking. That what they should have did. That she knows the basics, the true basics, and that's because one, she already knows she has these weird powers. She already knows it. Like, I have these weird powers. Should have introduced it in the first movie that she knew right off the bat she has these weird powers. Okay. Number 3. Finn should have been way more pivotal in all of the stuff going on with the First Order. He should have been their complete linchpin of the whole First Order stuff. You should have not made him a regular stormtrooper. They should have expanded his role like it was in the book. He should have been already groomed to become a high commander of the First Order, in the same way as Captain Phasma. Captain Phasma's replacement. You should have issued this. Like, he knows a lot. He knows a lot more. He could do a lot more. He's just extraordinarily confused about why he broke that conditioning. And he feels there's a strong connection between him and Rey. And he doesn't understand why. Poe Dameron. 2, 1. Poe Dameron is very, very simple. 1, he used to do dirty things. He's like their Han Solo. Actually, no, he's like Caspian. He's like he's like that dude from Rogue One. He did a lot of bad things. A lot of bad things. He was a merc. He was a mercenary. He's a phenomenal pilot. You know, there are times he says that, you know, he learned maneuvers because of Han Solo and Luke Skywalker. He gives them their fair share because Luke is a phenomenal pilot himself. Han is a damn good pilot. He did a lot of bad things. He knows the ins and outs of criminal organizations, but he left that life. He left that life to get back to his original life, and you get a lot more story with that. Hence why he has such a good friendship with Finn. They come from very dark backgrounds. Finn did a lot of bad stuff. He commanded people to kill and wipe out villages and cities. He did a lot of bad things. That's why he and Finn have a great friendship because of the stuff they've been through. And one of the things they could have easily done was, there's a lot of things they could have done. Sorry about that. There's a lot of things they could have done. Those are the 3 main players. I'm sorry, the 4 main players. Snoke should have been the main person of this whole trilogy. There's a lot you don't know about him. Now with Luke, this is how they could easily fix Luke in The Last Jedi. And I said this to a couple people and they say, yeah, that actually kind of works. You could have still had the whole thing where he tries to confront his nephew. That's fine. But this is what they could have done. You could have had a sequence in the movie where he was battling other kids. And he's overpowering them. He's beating through their defenses. He's kicking them to the side. He's using the Force to throw them all over the place. And Luke uses the Force maneuver that he uses all the time. He pauses him in the middle of what he's doing, and he makes him fall to his freaking knees. And he's like, "What the heck are you doing? What are you doing?" And you see his anger just starting to build, and you see Luke go, "Stop," and lets him go. He goes, And you see Ben just get up and he runs and he walks off in a furious anger. You see other Jedi's looking at Luke like, dude, what did you do that for? He goes, and then you have Luke just get kind of confused about why he did that in the first place. So then in the middle of the night, you have Ben meditating in the forest, and he see him use his power. This is his innate power. He uses that force bond. He actually is stand. He's you see the scenery twist, and it shows him inside of a first order room, and he's standing before Snoke, and Snoke is telling him like he's lying to him. He's telling him that he goes I'm glad you're finally able to use your powers. Let me show you how to truly use your powers. He goes, first tell me what you were talking about. Oh, you mean your lineage? Of course. It's no lie. You are a child of love between two heroes, between Leia and Han Solo. But your power comes from your grandfather. And he lies about it. He lies about it, like, oh, your grandfather saw power because of this. He was the most powerful Sith alive, and this. And you see him just get unnerved by all this, like, whoa, why didn't they tell me this? So he goes to Luke, and Luke senses that, whoa, he's been talking to someone that he shouldn't be talking to. Who told you all of this? He goes, no, why don't you you have this conversation with two of them. Luke basically tells him, go to your room, and I'll talk to you later. He meditates that there's something dark going on around his nephew, and he doesn't know what to do with it. So Luke goes, he could sense where it's coming from, where it's emanating from. And he gets up and he leaves. He leaves. He tells his other Jedis that continue Ben's training and I will be back. So he leaves. He leaves. And he confronts Snoke. He confronts him and gets mollywopped. Because this dude is too freaking powerful. Now remember, this is the puppet. This is the freaking puppet. This is the clone. He gets completely wrecked by freaking Snoke. And you have him sitting there say that, he goes, you think that your paltry powers in the light is going to defeat me? My dear boy, I am not Palpatine. And I'm surely not your father. And he's sitting there going, well, he goes, I am the dark side of the Force. And he just mollywops him all over the place. You have a fight between Luke Skywalker and Snoke, which make everyone go, whoa. And that's what makes him a hermit. Because basically when he gets his butt kicked, the first thing Snoke does is he allows Ben to see his uncle trying to kill Snoke. And that makes him go, what the heck is he doing? The guy's not doing anything. And the first thing that happens is Luke gets back and Ben confronts him and tells him, why did you go after him? He's not bothering me. He's not bothering anybody. He goes, he's a Sith. And he tells him he's a Sith. They're evil. He goes, really? So was my grandfather evil? Is that why you killed him? And he goes, you don't understand anything. They have this huge fight about it. He goes, then why don't you tell me? Okay, fine. And Luke goes, he wants to tell him. And Ben is quiet. And that's when the Knights of Ren show up. And Ben wipes out the whole thing. While Luke is away trying to talk to Leia. Like, hey, he told Leia. He tells her it's Snoke. It's this evil Darksider. He's called himself Snoke. He's more powerful than the Emperor. Which freaking makes her unnerved. Like, oh, Jesus God. Really? And that was the reasoning why. He said, okay, well, he goes, let me go back to the temple and I'll talk to Ben, and both of us are gonna tell Ben about our father. She goes, and you have Leia to sit there. She goes, she doesn't want to talk about it. He goes, no, we have to. Ben has to know the truth. He has to know why our father fell to the dark side. He's thinking our father was innately evil. That his powers are evil. His powers is going to make him strong. That's the trap. You know this. And she kind of doesn't want to do anything about it. Then you have Leia as a senator. Han is basically part of the military force because they're listening to him and everything else. And basically, and when Luke goes back to go and get to talk to Ben, Ben completely wipes out the whole freaking Jedi temple. He wipes them all out. And you have Luke going, what the heck is going? And he tries to confront his nephew, and he realizes if he fights his nephew, he will go to the dark side, which is what happens in the books. It happened in the book before. He doesn't fully go, of course. I mean, he goes like 2 times, but when he confronts his nephew, he says, I can't fight him. So he holds back, and Luke gets his butt kicked by all the freaking Knights of Ren. He doesn't want to fight his nephew. He doesn't want his nephew to fall further and further to the dark side. But the only thing that happens is he feels that Ben says, you don't fight me because you know I'm stronger than you. And he goes, you don't understand. You don't know the truth. He goes, no, I understand the truth. And whatever you say will never, ever, ever be the truth. You have lied to me, so has my mom, and now all your failures have now come to pass. And he walks away. And Luke is watching his whole temple burn. And he's like, he failed. He failed his father. He failed his sister. He failed Han. He failed himself. He failed the Jedis. He doesn't know what to do, so he puts himself in exile. Sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? That's what happened to Obi-Wan. And that's what messes up Han. Han's like, my son has done what? He goes tries to confront him. Han gets almost completely destroyed. And he basically doesn't go back to Leia until he figures out how he can get through to his son. That's why they're not together. But he is not giving up on his son. He's not giving up on his mother. There is a connection to the two of them. But that's how you get done Force Awakens. That's how you could have easily fixed all of this. Force Awakens could have been phenomenal. If you kept to the same, you could have still had the same nostalgia, the same kind of story points from Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back, and even from the prequels. But you now have an understanding of why Kylo hates Luke. Why he has this budding hatred towards his parents. Because they never told him the truth about his lineage. They don't want him to know. Han left that to Luke and Leia to figure out. He doesn't want to put his bias into it. He even says it. I don't want to put my bias into it. I hated Vader. But I have to respect that that's their father. That's it. He doesn't show any spite or anything like that. He just goes, I hate the guy. I hate him. But he has to let that go. He knows he has to let that go. Leia is so distraught over the fact that she doesn't want her son to see that they are a product of evil. When they weren't. Luke knows this. He's trying to get Leia to let that go. Like, no, our father fell because of us. He thought we were dead. Like any grieving parent, they thought we were dead, and he just said he didn't care. But the moment he knew he had a son, he started to get pulled by the light. Now, we can't lie to Ben anymore. And they tried to find him, but they couldn't find him. That's the whole reasoning why Luke made this whole map to say, okay, find where I'm at. Because Kylo has been not searching for him this whole time, but because he wants to get himself strong enough to know, okay, he can take him himself. That's been his training this whole time. I'm training myself to become strong enough to defeat my uncle. And prove I'm the strongest of all of my blood. It still would have fit. But then the moment he meets Rey, he's freaking discombobulated. Because one, he's attracted to her. He's completely attracted to her. And two, he feels there is a strong connection in the Force between the two of them. There's a strong bond. You could have still had, she tries to get with, not get with, but she's still trying to latch that fatherly thing with Han and even Luke. That's fine. He still exploits it. But even she's confused over the fact that she senses a pained person underneath that mask. But it's so haunted by anger and rage that she's trying to get through to Ben. She knows it deep down. She's trying to get through to Ben. But her surface level anger is the fact that he basically killed Han. And the way I would have done it was he feels this, it makes him cold. He tries to attach himself further to the dark side. And when he stabs Han and Han is dying in front of him, you can see his eyes twitching. You can see him he's trying to make himself angry, like get angry. And when Han falls to his death, you can see his eyes widening because he's watching his father die in front of him and fall into a pit. It's shock, but he's holding it back by getting angry. Trying to envelop the dark side of the Force, which was what part of his training was. But it doesn't work. Because you can have him say, like, it doesn't work. And then you have Chewie sitting there screaming. He looks up and he goes, Chewie? And then Chewie goes, Rrr! And shoots him right in the chest. He goes, Rrr! No, shoots him, in the kidney. And he goes, Rrr! Rrr! And he's screaming up at Chewie. And Chewie's just sitting there just getting angrier. You could have still had all that, but just add more to the scene, more emotional tension. Because again, if you're trying to showcase that Kylo is going to become this evil Vader type, you need to put more emotion into it. That Ben doesn't want to do it, but he knows he has to if he wants to become a true powerful person in the Force. He has to let go of those attachments, but hold on to why he's doing what he's doing. And again, that's all part of quote-unquote Snoke's training. So it just, in a way, it's not destroying The Force Awakens. It's just adding more to it. You still could have had the same beats, the same this. You could have had the battle between her and Kylo, but he's, his face is sweating. His eyes are kind of getting glazed over a little bit, but and when he punches himself, you can see his eyes start glowing gold. Because he's getting himself fueled up by the dark side. And you see her eyes going, oh my God. Like literally, she's getting afraid. And you see him going, yes, I can sense your fear. And he's sitting there and he's smiling about like he can sense her fear. I can sense it. And I'm going to feed on it. And she's going, she backed up and goes, oh my God. Like, oh my God. Like it's like for her, it's a tidal wave of rage at her because she has her grandfather's saber. He was looking for his grandfather's saber because that's the last tie he has. He wants his grandfather's saber. Oh my God. To me, it makes absolutely no sense. And then Last Jedi, you could have had it where literally the whole first movie, you don't see Luke. You get Luke, Han, Leia. They're all on the same screen together. It's perfectly fine where they're making their talks. But guess what? You don't see Luke throughout the rest of what's going on in the present. At the very end of the movie, it catches up to him. And when she meets him, he says, I'm not training you. I'm not. I'm not sending another Jedi to go and confront my nephew. You will die. And that's it. So you have her sitting on this planet trying to train herself. And Luke is sitting there looking out the window and he's seeing her trying to use the Force. And you see him getting like surprised. Like she's able to do things in the Force that he's like, huh. And you have him just contemplating about it. Like, hey, should he get involved again? While you have on the other side of the spectrum, you have Kylo wanting to kill Finn and Poe. They're the ones that destroyed the freaking Starkiller base. And also they can lead him to Rey. He can't find her. He can't sense her in the Force. He can't. Snoke even says, I can't even find her. You're like, wow. So he's hunting them down. Destroying everything in his way. Almost like, again, like that video game boss. They get on a planet, They get there for a little bit. They have their banter. They're trying to figure out what to do. Out of nowhere, a ship comes out of the freaking out of hyperspace, and it's freaking Kylo Ren. And they're like, "What the heck? Oh God, we gotta get out. We gotta get out of here." They try to leave. They leave the sector, go to another sector. A few days later, Kylo Ren shows up. They're like, "What the heck is going on here? How are they finding him?" And you have Leia sitting there going, she walks away and she closes her eyes and that's when she opens her eyes. She realizes what it is because she looks at Finn. Finn's sitting there going, "Huh?" And she goes, "Okay, this is what we got to do. Finn, you and Poe and you introduce Rose Tico, whatever. You take Rose and you guys go to blah 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 planet. I need you to find someone there. He's an old friend." And it's freaking Lando. And she says she needs Lando out of hiding because Lando's the only person that knows more about the underground world than even Poe does. He goes by a different name now, and that's what makes Poe go, "Oh my God, we're looking for him?" He goes, "Okay, I think I can find him." So this whole movie, you basically having them split up, but it's basically she knows that they're tracking Finn, and they're wondering, is that true? Are they tracking Finn? And you have this one confrontation between him and Phasma, and Phasma reveals one small facet about what Finn is. Yeah, keep him as a Force sensitive, whatever, that's perfectly fine. What's going on is what Snoke was doing is any child that shows any divinity and power of the Force, he wants them trained a particular way because they're going to become part of his elite forces. That's what Finn was supposed to be, an elite force. But his connection to the Force is very unique, and it's something that even Snoke was like, "You lost who? Oh, great, kill him now." So there's something more about Finn's character. And Poe basically is saying, "Okay, so blah 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 blah," and then that's when you get Lando talking about that he over his course when they first meet him and they know it's Lando, they're like, "Holy crap, it's Lando!" And Lando tells them right off the bat, "Hey, so you were an ex-stormtrooper?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Huh, that's very interesting." And he reveals about the fact that, hey, guess what? There are others like you. It's a very small. It's a very small. It's like a handful, but at least it's a group. They're all highly trained stormtroopers from the First Order. I found them all on distant worlds. So they meet up with those people, and guess what? You come to find out they're all Force sensitives, which gives you your link to why Finn has a unique connection to Rey. And remember, Rey's not being trained as a Jedi. She's just doing her stuff on the rock, on Ahch-To. But then you get this whole thing where now Kylo is talking to Snoke, and Snoke tells him, "Okay, well, if they're gonna evade you, then fine, go to Coruscant and wipe it out." And they're sitting there going, "Dude, if we do this, we're gonna gain the whole core world's gonna be united." And Snoke goes, "So." It's time for this galaxy to realize that the Sith have returned. Go. And Kylo goes, "Okay." And he leaves. Hux is going, "Oh my God, like what the heck are you guys doing? If we do this, we're going to unite the galaxy. And we don't have the men right now." He even admits it. We don't have the men. Phasma's sitting there like, "Dude, we're going to die." But Snoke knew that they're not going to do it. If the galaxy sees there's a new Sith walking around, they're not going to do jack. That's why Kylo is very, very hidden. And if they go to a planet and do what they have to do, they wipe everyone out. They just know Kylo Ren by name. They don't know what he is. And the Knights of Ren are just fighters. They're just like a coven. They don't know the Force. And he never pulled out his lightsaber. And if he does, they're all going to die. That's how they know. They're like, "Oh my God." Then you have Kylo Do what they did in Knights of the Old Republic. He walks down the corridor, and as the New Republic is talking, you see Leia going. She's frightened. She's petrified because she knows my son. He's coming. Everyone, get the heck out of here. She calls for a massive dismissal, and they're hearing screaming and everything. And then you see her just standing there, and you see him walking down the corridor, and they have this conversation. And she says, "Why are you doing this?" He says, "It's time for the old to die and for the new to be reborn. Your time on this galaxy is ended, mother." And he lights his light. He ignites his lightsaber, and you see her just looking at it, going, and she looks at him, and she's sad. And you see the imagining of Vader just standing there, and she's sitting there going, like her breath is losing because she sees her father. And you're like, wow, just the symbolism alone. Then you have guys show up and they shoot her, and they go, "Come on, let's go." And she goes, and she looks at her son, and her son just turns his head, and he turns his head and turns back and goes right back at and starts wiping these men out, killing them all. It blasts all over the news that the Sith have returned, and everybody in the galaxy just goes, "Oh," like they lose hope. And Leia senses it. This is what Snoke has been planning. Snoke wants to send so much fear and hopelessness throughout the whole galaxy because the Sith have returned and there are no more Jedis. It's broadcasted. So they get her out of Coruscant, and they get her to a ship, and the ship starts to move away. He walks out, and you're hearing his music. The dun dun dun, and you see him just walking out, and he just uses the Force and grabs the ship and pulls it back, and she's in there going, "Oh my God, we're gonna die, we're gonna," and you see people screaming like they're gonna die, and you see Leia just go. She closes her eyes and puts her hand outwards towards his, and you see him go, boom, and he flies backwards, and she goes, and the ship goes, and it flies off. They're like, "Whoa, what happened?" And you see Billy Lord's character, she's like, and you see Leia just look at her and go, and give a wink, and she goes, and you see Billy going, like she now knows Leia is a Jedi. She's a powerful Force. She knows how to use the Force. And you see, and the ship flies away, and Ben's like, ugh. He goes, "So that's it." And he gets up and he just walks off, and they're going, "Master Red," and he just grabs him by the throat and snaps his neck and goes, and they're going, "Whoa," like, whoa, bro. They're going, "Whoa," and he looks and he just goes, "Find that ship now." And they're going, "Yes, sir," and they leave. He goes, "Find that ship." He now knows. His mother knows how to use the Force. Okay, great. Now I can kill her. You see, you see Leia just sitting there, and she's sad beyond reasoning. Like, oh my God, she used the Force aggressively against her son. Now her son is gonna come after her, and they get her to a big vessel, and they fly her off, and they're sitting there, go, "Okay, well, Senator Organa, where you want us to go?" She walks over, she goes, take me to Naboo. And they're like, "What?" So she flies to Naboo, and the people in Naboo go, "Oh yeah, blah blah." And you see her walking down the hallway, and you see her go to Queen Amidala's grave, and you see her just looking down, and she closes her eyes, and she says, "Mother, what do I do?" And then you see her just go like this, and you see the memories of what happened in, I hate to say it, but in Attack of the Clones. And you see her just smiling at Anakin smiling at Padme, and then, the awkwardness, and then the scene where she says that she can never live without him. She's always still loved him. And when they touch their hands and this and that, and she could feel their love. And she goes, And you see her just drop her head just droops down because she's always thought her father just didn't give two craps about her family. She's always just hated her father. She doesn't realize that her father and her mother completely loved each other. He was defying the Jedis for his family, for Padme. He wasn't an evil person. And these were connections that she didn't want to make because she just wanted to have her anger towards her dad. And she walks off and they say, okay, where do you want to go next? She goes, I want to go to Ahch-To. And they go, Ahch-To? We don't know how to get there. I'll show you where to go. And then she gets on the ship and they fly off. He goes, what's on Ahch-To? And she goes, family. And that's it. That's it. That's all she says. Family. So you basically are getting the hint that she knew where Luke was. The whole first movie was never about Kylo trying to find Luke. It was him trying to find the lightsaber. He was trying to find his grandfather's lightsaber. So he can have all these artifacts and he can feel his Darth Vader's power flowing through him. So when Leia gets to Ahch-To, she talks to Luke in secret and says that blah 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 blah, and then Rey's sitting there going, okay, what the heck is going on here? So then you have Rey come out and you see her coming out and Luke comes out and then they basically tell Rey everything she needs to know. Because both Luke and Leia know their time in this galaxy is almost over. But they want Rey to be the one that helps him. They can't help him. That's not their destiny. And then she's like, what the heck are you talking about? He goes, you need to confront my nephew. You need to confront my son. And she's like, no. If I confront him, all I see is Han's death. I know. Leia says, I know. I'm still angry at my boy for doing it. But that's the gag. That's the caveat to the dark side. He's being selfish. You need to remind him of the truth. And that's why we told you about our father. And why I finally let it go. I let go of what about my father. I'm at peace. She's at complete peace. She understands. Yeah, my father did this and this and this, but he was a puppet. And now my son is being a puppet. You can't allow that to happen. I can't talk to him. Only you can. And she's like what the heck do you think he's gonna listen to me for? And Luke even kind of snickers and looks at her and she goes, you'll know why. And that's when the both of them say that now we can start your training. She's like, what? Now? I mean, what? And then you have Kylo sitting there trying to figure out where his mother is and he can't sense her in the Force. That's when they say, well, we found the trail and it leads to this weird planet. And he goes, what planet? And that's when he knows about Ahch-To. He goes, Ahch-To. I need to talk to the Supreme Commander Snoke. He goes and talks to Snoke, and Snoke reveals to him that they're on what? Okay, you can't go there. Why the heck not? He goes, because I order it. He goes, come to me, and I will finish the rest of your training. So he goes to Snoke's place. And Snoke finishes a lot of his training. He finishes a lot of his training. And literally, I'm going to leave it there. I have to get ready for work. But part 2 will come out. This is part 1 of what I would do. I'm very upset about this movie. The more I keep talking about it and how they could have fixed this whole trilogy and still kept in the same narrative, that, yeah, I'm not changing the fact that that Rey is the protagonist. What I'm changing is the fact is the story should revolve around Ben and the Skywalkers. I would call her Padme. Rey's character is just a pivoting point to get him back to the person he's supposed to be. That's it. That's all her character is meant to be. Now, I would change only a few things about Rey's character, and I'll get to that in part two. And I'm gonna do part two quite possibly when I get back. I don't know yet. I have to see how everything goes. But thank you for joining me. I hope you guys enjoy. I will do another video about is Rey a Mary Sue, and another one about should Disney continue doing Star Wars. Those will be my two bigger videos. I hope you guys enjoy, and like, comment, share, subscribe down below, and hit that bell. And I will do as many videos as I possibly can, like I said. And you guys have a great one. And again, may the force be with you always.